management. Throughout her career, she has been associated with various reputed B schools in Nasik and Mumbai. She holds a doctorate degree in finance from Pune University, a fellow member of Institute of Cost and Management Accountants. She is a SEBI certified financial advisor and also certified by NSE for financial modeling. Her skills include analysis of financial statements, financial modeling, and research data analysis using Python and R. She has various research papers at her name published in various national and international journals, including Scopus listed journal. Her research papers are acknowledged by SEBI as well in its investor survey. She has been a speaker at various FDPs arranged by renowned institutes and MDPs for corporate. Now, I would like to request Dr. Hema Gwalani ma'am to address the participant on the topic recent advanced technologies in effective teaching. Ma'am, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the wonderful introduction.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, at the start, I would like to thank the organizers, AICT and DYPIMR University, Rakesh sir and Meghna ma'am specifically for giving me this opportunity for the topic which is very close to my heart because Excel is something that goes into the nerve of a finance person. And then talking on Excel and specifically for teachers and researchers, because we know how much we struggle when we are teaching now in today's scenario. When we have to teach online, how to keep the students engaged, interactive, how Excel can be useful in that. Further, as a teacher, we know teaching on one hand is our core competency. On another hand, we have to make contribution to research. But where do we fall short? We fall short into the research area because we do not know the tools and techniques to do the analysis. Even the handy techniques we are not much aware of. So thank you very much once again for inviting me for this wonderful topic and wonderful FDP. And I have been told by Meghna ma'am, the participants of these participants of this FDP will be faculties from various backgrounds, not necessarily management backgrounds. So I will keep my, you can say, a discussion in such a manner that it is useful to all of us, not only the management faculties who have to deal with the data every now and then in comparison to the other faculties. So with your permission, shall I start, ma'am? Just one request.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can start.
Yes, just one request. I'll be sharing PPT and switching over to Excel quite a lot of time. So in between, if the Excel files are not visible, please let me know.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, definitely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Start with the presentation. As we know, it is on application of advanced Excel and recent technologies in effective teaching, learning, and research. So basically, we will be going ahead with this particular session as understanding the need and use of advanced technologies into teaching and learning, how to use advanced Excel into teaching and learning, what R and Python are. We'll not be able to see the demo of R and Python due to technical, you can say, limitations, but I'm really happy to see the program schedule wherein you have already learned machine learning. So you must have gone through R and Python. So here what we will be studying is, or going through is, how to use this R and Python into research. Teaching, it won't be really of much help. And at the end, last 15 minutes as suggested by the organizers will be for questions and answers. So feel free to ask any queries if you have. Now, when we say technology, and the first thing that comes in our mind is this is something which is difficult. and I need a lot of technical knowledge for it. So if we are faculties from management, we are faculties from humanities and all that, we feel like, no, this is not my cup of tea. It is not for me. This is specifically for engineers and developers. These people are there to use it. This is not made for me and I'm not supposed to use it and I can survive without it. This is what is the first feeling that comes into our mind. But the reality is something totally different. No, you cannot survive without the technology in today's era, specifically in today's era. There are a lot of things, bad things happening because of the corona effect, but the good thing that has happened because of this COVID pandemic is this is making teachers, though compulsorily, this is making teachers technology ready. How to use technology in teaching, learning, research. We are learning it more with the help due to this particular scenario. And it is not something that we are not using. We are using it every now and then. Most of the faculties here must have already used Excel most of the time. So it is not something new that you have never used. The only thing required here is we need to update ourselves every now and then to keep the pace with the changes in technology, and this will help us upgrade ourselves as well and into our career path as well, surely. So the basic you can say discussion will be divided in two parts in this session. The first part will be devoted to teaching and learning, how we can use Excel and advanced Excel, certain few techniques, decorative techniques I would rather say, because when we are talking about COVID scenario or online teaching or even into the class, I have experienced this into the class as well. If we make our teaching and learning along with quality a bit more decorative, it attracts the mind of the student and they are more interactive, they are more participative, and this is the you can say struggle that we are having today. So how to use Excel and advanced Excel in making teaching and learning more effective, and then at the same time, how to use this Excel, R and Python in research, which we have to do. It's not only for compulsory like preparing papers, but yes, for our own updation. Also, it is very much required. So this is how we will be moving ahead with the session. Starting with the first part, why we need to see or why we need to learn Excel and advanced Excel. This is what we are going to achieve by adding certain techniques into it. We are going to make it more effective, we are going to make it more interactive, and we are going to make it more engaging. If we use certain techniques and simple techniques, those are not very difficult techniques. Excel is a comparatively a very handy software. Once you get used to it, it can store a lot of data. It can organize the data for you in the manner you want. The various features and formulas you have in Excel help you to manipulate the data, to analyze the data, to present the data in such a manner that it adds into interaction effectiveness of the teaching of a teacher. Further, you can also add certain techniques like creating a web page or quizzes on Google, not only Google, sorry, Excel as well. We'll see certain part of Google as well. So starting with teaching and learning, how this Excel is going to help me now when we are in the class, when we are say just showing even simple charts to the students. Now I guess it won't be visible, so just let me share it again. Yes, I hope the Excel file is visible. Please ping me if it is not properly visible. Yes.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Thank you, ma'am. So when we have to simply solve or show one simple data where the expenses breakup is given, now this can be the numerical of finance, accounts, economics, or even in other subjects you have a lot of data to be presented or to be shown to the students. Now if we put it into the Excel a chart form, it looks anyway better, but how to make it more better? Now simply, if I add, instead of this chart, if I present this data into such kind of a charts, like waterfall charts or donut charts, any day it looks much better and it catches an eye of the student as well. He becomes more interested in learning when you are using such kind of a chart which are more decorative, or you can say visualization is better. Now how to do this? A very simple fact, you simply have to add the cumulative values as you can see here. Now I'll delete this particular simple chart, the bar graph chart that we have prepared here, and of the same data we prepare a double bar graph chart as you can see here. Sorry, not this style. We'll change the style of the graph. Insert. Yes, this one. Now here, if I go on the not chart type, just a second. Select data, and here if you see there is series 1, series 2. I simply change the sequence of the series where I want the cumulative values to go up and the particular amount to go down. Press OK. Change the chart type which I want to have like this. I can give it the title I want. No need of these legends here. Simply, and I now, if I want, I can convert it into the 3D chart as well. If you want to have like this, and now I select this particular range and simply change the color for my data series, field, no field, and close. Yes. The same data we are able to present in a better manner where we can see the amount of expenditure as well for every heading, every particular label, and the sequence of increase into the cost as well, and ultimately how it reaches the total expenditure. So not only the presentation, but which cost is the major part of the entire total cost, which is the minimum, which is the label, or you can say component of cost, which is spending minimum. All this you can show very nicely and neatly in the class when you are using such kind of a charts. So similar way you can have donut charts as well. Color scheme and all that you can choose of your own likings. This also looks pretty useful, not only in a, I'm talking about teaching, but the same is also applicable into your research as well. Now most of you or many of you must be undergoing the PhD. As a teacher we have to do that. So when we are presenting the data into our presentation, or you can say progress reports, or even into our thesis, if we use proper charts in a proper manner, that that makes the thesis look better as well, and even for us, for our understanding, or the understanding of the referee, this looks better in comparison. Similar way you have other charts like football field chart. Now with the help of similar kind of a waterfall chart, now another data where I have to show a particular, you can say, range of data only, and the comparison of them in between. Instead of showing the entire data, I can simply show the important data in this manner. Definitely it attracts more attention of the students in comparison to a simple chart if we draw. In addition, you have many such charts or things that you can add. For example, bubble chart. Now say for example you have a you have a data related to GDP of your GDP of the country and components of GDP of the country. In such cases, you can go for charts like this instead of simply keeping the bar charts, or you can say static bar charts and so on. So this is how you can make your teaching and learning more effective and interesting for the students, because our objective is basically to make the students engaged and make them more interactive when we are teaching and learning. So this is one part of you can say making the teaching learning more effective. Another thing that I would like to show now, instead of going back, there are many now similar way specialized charts if I have to show. Can you see the other sheet? Select chart. This one revenue. I hope yes. Please ping me only if it is not visible. Okay. Now here if you see in the data there are two lines, revenue and target. But here we can highlight. We have seen only the highlight of revenue. Now I want to compare it with the target. Now with this button, I can compare the revenue and the target, whether my revenue is above the target, below the target, matching the target or not, with simply one button. And whenever I don't want it, I can simply remove it. Now this button, control button it is called, you can use it in many ways. Now in conditional formatting also, in data, there are so many functions in Excel where you can use simple you can say functions of Excel to make your data more interactive, even to make the Google, just like Google Forms, if you want to create a form where you want to collect certain information from the students, you can use these buttons. Or even uh, in data, if you see, there are data validation buttons. So you can create the data validation buttons as well, or you can use these control buttons. So how to create that? Again, I'm not going to give you a demo of each and every chart, but just few of it, so that at least you can get attracted towards Excel and start using Excel as much as possible. Now, how to do that? Again, in just few minutes, we can create this. I'll simply create this, copy this data once again, just to show you the entire working again. Now you have to go to developer button. Now if you in your Excel sheet, if you do not have a developer button, you can simply go to Excel options, and in Excel options there is in popular there is a show developer tab in the ribbon. You can simply click on that, and the developer function, or you can say on the menu bar, developer tab will be applicable. Now into developer tab there is an insert. In insert, you can see there are various buttons. Now all these buttons we have seen being used many times by many people, but how to use that we were not aware of. Now here I want a simple tick button, checkbox. So I copy it and pasted it. Now I want to give it a name as show target. So this button is ready now, but how to link this button with the data? So you have to simply right click on this, and there is format control. Now in format control, you have to select the link now or the cell from where you can link this button. Now this we don't want to be visible to all the people who are going through our data. So we will place it somewhere where the chart will come. So I've selected G24. Okay. Now this data again I will select, because this is the raw data that I have. Control V. But the values I will not copy paste. Instead, I will link the revenue values through referencing. Now, referencing is another, you can say, a magic tool in Excel, where instead of typing and hard coding a lot of data, you can simply use the cursor and copy paste, and the data and formulas, everything gets copied. So those who are new to Excel must use as much as possible. You should use the uh, referencing. Now this is done. Now here if you see, we had selected G24. Now when I click on this button, it shows true and false. Now I have copied the data of revenue and I have to select now target, and my chart should change based on the target. So what you will do, instead of putting here the target values or linking here the target values, you can simply use one if function where you want this button, or you can say this cell which we selected earlier, to be true, but you have to freeze this first because we want to use it in all three lines or all 3 years. You want to have this, just a second. If select the G24 cell with F4 button, you can freeze it, comma. Now you want the value to be 120 if this button is true. If this is false, the value there should not appear anything. Now to appear nothing in any cell, you simply need to have a double inverted comma. See, the value is true here, you can say 120. When I click the button, this goes to false and this value disappears. Now this I will copy for rest of the columns as well. You can see here, it's kind of a magic button that works for us. And now you can simply create a chart for this particular (2D) bar chart. Simply we are presenting. We can give it a name as maybe sales. If you want this, you can keep it. Now target we don't want as a bar, but we want as a line. So change type, go to line chart, and this. You can see this. Now when I show target, it is true, the line appears. When I click on it that do not show it is visible here at the 0. So if you don't want to make it visible, you can change the width of this particular line and make it thinner, and it will not be visible then at all. So this is how you can make it this way if you create charts while teaching to your students. This makes it more interesting for the students to have, you can say, understand the things as well, and to get engaged into the class as well. And the similar things we can use in our research as well. Definitely not these control buttons and all those things, but there are, say, for example, as I said, into data, there are data validation. If you want to create a Google form kind of a things into Excel where you want to collect the data, say for example, I want to collect names of students. Now in this button, I go at data validation, I click on data validation, and I want to have only text here, okay? Or say simply if you want to collect roll numbers and all that, similar way you can create, select here the text or the numbers, the list. You can create a drop down list as well into Excel. Minimum you want 0 and maximum you want 30. Then you go to input message, title, name. Please fill your name starting with surname. And error alert, you want to stop a person writing if he is going wrong. and you can give it a heading error. Please use only text. The selected stop. Okay. Now see here. If I'm clicking somewhere else, nothing is happening. But when I'm going into the box that I have validated, it gives me the message that it is for name, and fill your name starting with surname. Valani. I entered. Now here if I put 1, 2, 3, enter. It should not actually. There is yes, I have to. It should stop accepting other things. It should go only for text. There is something which I am missing, I guess. No, something is there which I am missing, but it should apply. It should take only name. If we do it properly, it can also help us find out invalid data. Validation circles are there. Then there is what if analysis. It's a highly useful, you can say, technique for people who are working into various scenarios. Means if specifically people working into economics and into finance and into accounting, into mathematics, where you are working on various scenarios like trigonometries and all that, you can create all your data into these data tables, and at the fingertip you can change the entire data. If you allow me, I can show that as well. Just give me 1 second. I have to stop share again and share another file. Yes, for example, if you see this data table, this is the data table where I am predicting a share price of the uh, organization with the growth rate, change in growth rate and WACC. As the growth rate and WACC will change, I should be able to find out the change in the values as well. There is a circular referencing I have turned off, that's why the data is not visible. I can show you another file. Just a second. Yes, I have shared a new file here. Now you can see here the share price, or you can say the required value, which is based on two criterias. It can be any two criterias. If I put them into data table, I can get the values for all possible combinations. And if there is a change in the base valuation as well. Now here the base value is, say, economic growth of the country as 5%. If I make it 4%, immediately you can see the change into the values here. So based on the change in criteria, if I want to know the answers for multiple, you can say, scenarios based on two criteria, I can use data table function. Goal seek function is used for one particular criteria change. If I based on one criteria, I want to find out certain value, missing value. Say for example, in the cases like everyone takes most of us, we take a loan. We know that, okay, I want to pay maximum 15 lakhs at the end of 10th year. Okay, and I know the interest rate in the economy or I would like to know at how much interest rate I should pay, because I know my payment limits as well, monthly payment limits as well. But I want to know for how much time I will have to take a loan. Say for example, I am taking a loan of 15 lakh. My monthly capacity to pay back the loan is only 5,000. So how much time it will take for me to pay back the loan, or even the loan calculations, entire thing can be done very easily into Excel. Moreover, not only this, to make it more effective, you can make your files or share your files as web page as well, instead of simply presenting them as a Excel file, because it will be more useful. Or you can say again, the students nowadays use more technology than us, so they will be more interested in knowing the things if the watching the things which are you can say technology based. Just let me share that file with you. Yes, now you can see one Excel file again on your screen. Now, how to create a web page of this file? It is very easy again. You can simply go to Save As. Now, when the Save As table appears, Save As type you have to select as web page. Now, I'm not aware whether you are able to see it or not. I just hope you are able to see this table. In that, you have to select entire workbook. Make sure that you are selecting web page.
Yes, ma'am, we are able to see it.
Thank you, ma'am. Pivot table, I'll give it a name. Okay, and simply republish the sheet and click on the publish. Now here, when the new window appears, you have to select an entire workbook if you want to show all the spreadsheets to the students, and auto republish every time this workbook is saved, so that anytime you are making a change into your Excel file at your end, the changed file will appear to the person to whom you are sending it. Now when I publish it, I'll have to again reshare the files. Just a second. Stop sharing. Yes, you can see an internet HTML file has appeared of the Excel work that I have done, and I can switch between the spreadsheets as well. In fact, if you have a bit advanced versions of Excel, you have many sorting buttons as well into these Excel files, into the web file of Excel page, where you can sort the data online as well. And the wonderful thing about this is, if I do any changes into my Excel sheet, they will appear into this web file as well, because I have click the option of auto republish. It means whenever you do any change into the basic data, the changed file will appear to the user to whom you have sent the file. But yes, when you are sending a web file, you have to send the you can say the folder which is created along with it. So it is a bit tedious, but yes, only if you are using it for presentation. Say for example, in the online classes nowadays, if you are using it for the presentation, this is going to be of a very good help for the students, where you can simply show them the things on the web page instead of showing them on a Excel file. So this is how web page creation can help you. Moving ahead, now I want to show you one, you can say a magic trick. I'll say Excel is already said to be a eighth wonder into the world. Now in that there is one magic button, or you can say magic function, which is called as pivot table. Now many of you must be aware of it, but I'll just show you few of the benefits of pivot table to people who do not have or have not gone through pivot tables yet. Now I have this simple data. I'm showing you a small data here, but when we are talking about the data that we collect for our research. Now, the rest of the part I'll be mainly sharing with you from a research point of view. I'll not be going to the PPT back again and again because I have to stop share and again go to the PPT file. So I'll continue on Excel itself. Now, when we collect a lot of large data, now the data, when we talk about research data, primary data mainly goes to 2 to 300 people from whom we collect the data, and nearly 20-30 questions we collect the data. Each question has, uh, you can say 4 or 5 options. So the number of columns that we collect the data for is even 100. And we have to create charts and tables, or you can say separate table, percentage table and all that for each and every question when we are preparing or when we are doing analysis, or when we want to know certain only important part of it, we have to filter all the data again. So instead of doing that, you can simply use this magic button in Excel, which is called as a pivot table. Now pivot table in itself is a subject, you can say it has such a big application. So when you simply click on the table and go to insert button and press pivot table, it automatically selects the table that you have created, and it asks for whether on the existing worksheet you want the pivot table or new worksheet you want. You should preferably select a new worksheet. Now here you can see the field list is appearing, where you have report filters, column labels, row labels, values, and all the headings of our data are appearing here. And now you can simply create the table as you want. Now I want to create the data maybe city wise, and I want to see the turnover of each city. Here it is coming as count of turnover. I want sum of turnovers. I simply select sum. I want count or sum or average, maximum, minimum, everything I can select, and you can see here. City wise, the turnover is available now. Now I don't want it city wise, but I want it item wise, or along with city wise, I want it item wise. City wise per item, or you can say product. In total, I'm getting the data. I don't want item to appear on the table, the product to appear on the table, but I want to select it as per my wish. So I put it into the report filter and select the product I want to. Only for answering machine, if I want to know the turnover, how much it is. Only for the telephone, how much is the turnover. All this I can find out when I put certain heading into report filter. I take it back and it gives me my original table back. You can also add, means the way we want, like we want the frequency and the percentage as well when we are doing the analysis. So here I select the turnover again into values. I go to value fields setting, show values as. Now instead of normal, I want it as a percentage of column, and the values I want is sum. You can see here I have simply got the percentage at fingertips. Now, whichever values I want, I can simply put them, drag them into the rows or labels the way I want to present it, the way I want to, you can say, analyze it. I can simply do it. So I remove the percentage from here again. Even the updation, say for now here, if I showed you the data is up to 2019, there is additional data to be added of 2020. I simply copied that data, added it into it. Yes, now I have all the values here, and I want to update my table now automatically. I simply go to, sorry, I have to select options of pivot table, refresh the data. Yes, you can see here. The values have changed now. So just by adding the value into the original table, you can very easily update your data as well. I've shown you addition. You can try the removal as well. You can try multiple columns, multiple rows. And not only that, we can create chart out of it as well. Simply go to options and pivot chart. I'll select the static bar here. Static bar chart. Okay. Yes. And this is turnover. I don't want labels, so I delete the labels. Now here in charts as well. Now there are around 7, you can say, cities for which the data is available. I want to arrange them into the ascending or descending order. I can simply go to sort button when I do the right click on the label legend, and I can sort it A to Z, Z to A. More sort options I have now, not only based on the names of the cities, but if I want to sort the data based on the values which appear in the graph, I simply selected ascending and sum of turnover and OK. You can see here. So the presentation can be made better when you are using the pivot tables, and that too can change automatically when you change these values. And this I can simply use it for my presentation as well. Now selected a new spreadsheet, gave it some attractive color, wherein I will simply copy this chart. If I want to give a presentation to my bosses or for my organization, I want to create a presentation for my employees or my students where I want to show them multiple charts comparison at a time. So here I have done with turnover. I go back to this and simply with drag and control, I can create another sheet. Here I don't want sum of turnovers, but I want, sorry, units sold into values. Okay. Now the units sold values will appear.
It's not visible, ma'am.
What is not visible, sir? Excel file?
Excel file, ma'am. Excel
Oh,
file.
It is visible, ma'am. I think
Yes, madam, it is visible.
Yeah, if someone is, it's not visible for you, I think it is problem at your end, sir.
Please check your network, sir. If it is not visible, you can, I guess, leave the meeting and join back if there is a problem.
Okay,
This will
ma'am.
help you.
Can enlarge it. That
It is visible, ma'am. You can continue.
easier for us.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you,
You
ma'am.
can enlarge it. It will be much easier for us.
Sorry, sir.
If you can enlarge this sheet now, that will be much easier for us to
See it. Okay, okay, okay. Got it, sir. Got it. Thank you very much, sir. This is better now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, this way. So if you change now, you can change the chart now as well, and then simply you can copy that chart again. Now here I can simply again go to, just a second, because of this actually zoom screen I'm not able to see the options. Yes, again I refresh the data and I create another chart into options. I get the chart for units sold now. Again I can decorate it the way I want and simply copy it and paste it along with the other chart that I have created. Now if I put multiple charts here, it will look much better, and all the comparison you can have on one page. In fact, into the latest Excel, you can insert the sorting functions here itself into the dashboard, wherein you can simply select here also. Say for example, here I have selected turnover. Okay, and here also I want to add units sold into it. I can add units sold into it. I want to add percentage into it. I want to do it a year wise comparison. I can do that. So it is interactive, you can say, or dynamic. Only with where the charts are present, you can simply click on the chart. The field pane and field list will appear, and you can make whatever changes you want into the charts that you have selected. You can select another chart and automatically, you see, if I click on turnover chart, it will show me the input data. If I click on units sold chart, it will show me the input data, and whatever changes I want to make into the chart based on the demand or based on the comparison I want to do, I can do that at a fingertip. So this is how pivot tables make it very useful. Further, even for the data, say for example, now this data, if I select into pivot table, if I go and I remove this turnover, okay, and I want to group this. Now here it is list wise, but if I show you, say another example, in this data I'll add some value, say this table itself I remove, and if I have to show you, say another table, say wherein I have simply collected the age of the participants. Let me add, let me show you another file. Just let me share another file where it will be better for you. Yes, I hope you can see the new Excel file. Now here if I see, this is the data I was talking about. Like you have a lot of data. Now here also there is only 78 data, but the number of rows also, if you number of rows is 78 and number of column is more than 50. So this amount of data you have, and you have to do the analysis of that. In that case, pivot tables are very highly useful. Here I go, pivot table, new worksheet. Okay, and I want to only talk about, say, age. If this grouping I have not done on my own, I can create that grouping as well. Now here this group selection or group field is not visible, create group, because there are
Madam.
already, yes ma'am.
Madam.
Yes.
Your Excel sheet is not visible, ma'am.
Just a second, let me share it again.
Okay.
Is it visible now?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So I was talking about, see, this large amount of data if you have. Now this is very normal now when when we do certain survey and say this large amount of data we have of more than 70-80 rows in total, and then multiple columns, more than 50-60 columns data we have, and we have to do analysis as a researcher. Now here pivot tables can be of lot of use. Say for example, here if you say total work X has been asked to people with their own wish. So here I can go simply to total work X. I don't want age. Okay, this is showing me total. But if I go to options and do grouping, I'm not able to select that option here, maybe because the screen is not appearing completely to me because of the is my screen visible now?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. Yes. I can create a range as well into the pivot table itself of the data for which I have not created a range into my data. So that is another thing I wanted to show you, but not able to show you because of some limitation here. Another thing that I would like to show you here is, now this is from, you say, pivot table point of view, but not only that, by using Excel functions. Now when we have certain large data, we can do the analysis of this data also pretty easily. Say for example, here if you see this question number 13, if I talk about, this is simply the Likert scale data collected, wherein the respondent is simply required to give the answer by ticking one of the 5 options given to that particular person. Now if I go on analyzing this data, there are 19 such sub questions into it. It takes a lot of time. Now simply by using one count function, I'll just show you. I've done it here, but I'll redo everything for you. Yes, I can simply mark down the options here, and while marking the option I have to copy paste it because I don't want to have any spelling mistakes. I don't want any spacings to create any issue. So the options shall come as it is. I simply selected the options, the 5 Likert options that I had given for the data. Now here I go for count function in Excel, the values that I have to select. Okay, countif, sorry, countif. I have to select a range from which I have to find how many times 5 always appears. So I simply select the entire column from which I have to find out the values. Yes. Okay, comma, and it should have this value. So I selected this cell and not the, I did not type it, and I simply freeze the column here because I simply want to drag it further instead of typing it again and again. See here, I got that 5 always appeared 23 times. Now I can do it with sort and filter as well, you will say. But if I simply copy paste it here, and for the data. Only copy paste I'm doing. See, all the values which I wanted are available to me at the fingertip, and now I can do the analysis for you can say objectives or for hypothesis testing, because this is how I want my data, which I can simply get from pivot table and then do the analysis on that. This was the data I just now you can say copied. So this is how using various functions can help you into Excel. And not only that, now moving back to this particular sheet. Now here, if I see, the option appears as 5 always, 4, 3 sometimes, 4 very often. I don't want this 4 to appear here or 3 to appear here. Now what to do? A very simple, there is one simple technique, or you can say utility available into Excel called ASAP utility. Can you see this? This. Now most of the people don't use this free utility. It's very easy to add this utility into your Excel. You simply type Google in Google ASAP utility Excel. The same you can say with the same name, a website will appear. From there you can download it, then you can go to in your you can say start button of Excel file, Excel options. You have to go to add-ins, and into it you can find it here. Once downloaded, then only you can find it here. Based on your operating system you can select it, and then you have to press go button. Once you press go button, just a second. Yes, here you can see ASAP utility is being ticked. Okay, and ASAP utility is available now. Now the range of functions that you can perform in ASAP utility is nothing less than an ocean. You can perform n number of functions into ASAP utilities. Now I'll not be able to show you many of the functions, but I will suggest you to go through all these tabs. See, related to sheets, you can put together multiple rows and columns from several sheets into one sheet. Say for example, you have data into various spreadsheets, as say for example 100 rows in each sheet. Now instead of copy pasting, you can simply click on this. You have to select the multiple sheets. For that, go to sheets again, put together rows and columns. I want columns to be come together. I want a particular range of rows. Say for example, I want 1 to 100. Rows, and copy the values. Okay. You can now specify the name for newly created worksheet. Everything will come here into the new worksheet created, sheet 2. Okay. See here, all first 100 rows of each sheet selected will appear here in line in the sequence your sheets are placed. This is how magical you can say ASAP utilities are. Not only that, this was only related to sheet. You can go to range. You can see n number of options here. Create duplicate values, paste, many paste functions are there. Into columns and rows, if you go, merge row data, separate cells by line break, this delete all empty rows, a very useful function when we are doing the analysis. Delete all empty columns, clear data formatting, put together rows and columns into several sheets. Then you go to text. Now the function I was talking about, delete number of leading characters. Let me go to that file again. Yes, now here I'll just select few of the values. In this particular L column, I don't want first 2 values. So I go to text, delete number of leading characters. I don't want first two characters in this column. So I simply type 2. Yes. Can you see here that all the numbers that I had at the start are now disappearing and I have the data in the form I wanted. Moreover, if it is say a data wherein some words are into, you can say a small cap and you can say uppercase and lowercase, and maybe it is the name of the student. Now when we do sorting of or say H for H lookup and V lookup and we want it, so we can do that as well, means change to uppercase, change to lowercase, start first word with uppercase, make first character uppercase, the rest lowercase. Now many of these functions are available into latest, you can say Excel versions, but not all of them. This is, as I'm telling you, it is actually an ocean and a very, very useful tool when you are doing the analysis of data. I guess I'll have to stop for Excel here because I'll just be talking 5 minutes for R and Python, and then I'll be open for questions and answers. But I really suggest those who are into like analysis of data for your own research or for any purpose must download ASAP utilities. Lot of things are there that you can do related to formula, related to text, related to information, related to page. So much of functions you can do at one go. Basically, ASAP utilities is nothing but all the macros readily designed for you. Otherwise, in Excel, when you want to create a specific function, you have to uh, create macros, which becomes a bit basic, you can say difficult when it comes to a person like us, because we are not a technical background person, so it becomes a difficult thing for us to do macros, and that's why difficult for us to do animations as well. So I hope you can see the PPT now. uh, Pivot tables and charts, we have seen various methods in Excel. Stats function in Excel, we just saw one count function, but even the reliability test that we rely on SPSS so much to do. We can do many of the things into stat function into Excel by using the data tab. Okay, moving ahead, there are other you can say things as well that you must learn in Excel, because whatever you want to do, you can do very easily into Excel. I wanted to show some additional technologies of Google Form as well that everyone is doing now. There are many add-ons in Google. What we do when we are creating Google Forms is simply create a quiz that we have to create and that's it. We limit ourselves. But instead of limiting yourself, if you go to Google and just see the add-ons which are there, you will be again surprised to see so many add-ons into Google, and that makes our life so easy. Say for example, if I have data on Google Doc and I want to create a quiz out of it, I can simply do that by simply pressing, or you can say adding one function. Just let it open properly. Yes, Doc to form. Say name, address, marks. I want to create a Google form of it. I have this data already with me. I go to Doc to form, create a form from Google, and you can see create a form tab will appear here, and it will ask me what all data I want to add into it. Because of multiple activities at a time, it will take a time. Say for example, I want to add say address as one thing, as one question into my Google Doc. Okay, question and every type of question, text, paragraph, multiple choice. I want to keep it text. I want to add another question. I want marks, control V. That's it. I want to ask the name. I want to collect the email IDs. I want to create a form. Simply click on the create form button and it will load a Google form for you automatically from the data that you already have on a document. Yes, can you see the Google form? Can someone please reply?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Yes, thank you. So this way you can create, you can use these multiple technologies available as a teacher nowadays. Moving back to teaching learning, it's not only Excel, there is something more into technology for us. And these are nothing but these R and Python, such kind of a, you can say open source languages. Now, whenever we say that like C, C++, Java and all those things, the thing that strikes us is like, okay, it requires coding and all that. That is the benefit of these particular softwares, R and Python. You need not be a coding expert. Yes, you need to understand simply a syntax of this, the syntax to be used, so that you get user friendly to these R and Python. You can download it on your computer or laptop very easily, and you can start using it. Now you will say, why would one use it? There are, when I'm already saying there are so many benefits of Excel, but R and Python even is better than Excel. The reason being, Excel has limitations. So if I have to give an example, one of my students is working into Flipkart. Now he called me few days back saying that, ma'am, in a day I have 12 lakh transactions that are taking place in Flipkart. I'm a planning manager. I'm into a planning head of Flipkart, and it takes a lot of time for me, even by using pivot tables, to analyze the data, like checking delivery time, the locations, refunds in a day. All this data is available, but there's a huge data. Now, is there any other method of analyzing this data? I simply suggested him to go for Python. This being, you can say, financial, you can say, area. I suggested him to go for Python. In 8 days, the person learned Python, and the time that he was spending on Excel for 2 hours. Imagine, even in Excel for 2 hours, Python has now a ready, he has created a ready program for it, simply because Excel cannot work beyond 10 lakh rows, 10 lakh rows column data. So that is the limitation of Excel. But Python do not have that limitation. It has a better reproducibility, better visualization. The charts and all that we saw, we have to create it here. In Excel, we have to do that hard work of creating the chart. In Python and all that, there are ready packages, ready libraries that you simply have to download, okay, into your R. Means you simply have to attach it with your R, and that is also into R itself. You don't have to download it from any Google website or something like that. No, you only simply need to know the proper name of that library, which is also available into R itself, into Python itself. You simply have to attach those libraries and packages. Say for example, Panda package is there, NumPy and all those simple packages are there into your Python, and they will do the work for you. Based on one command, you can have the graph the way you want. Now, this is not only for that. The biggest use of R or Python is, uh, I'll suggest this. Yes, those who are into advanced research and know that, okay, regression, auto regression, and this ARIMA model and all that, specifically when you're dealing with time series data and you have to normalize the data. You have to normalize a lot of data, and you have to use logarithms for normalizing the data at 10 scale, 2 scale, 3 scale, and so on, which is a pretty time consuming part, or you can say it happens in SPSS or Minitab. Those who are from those backgrounds will understand, like SPSS and Minitab and all these. But these are paid softwares. SPSS you can have for month free. Minitab you can have for a month free. You can have R and Python for lifetime free. And with additional functions where you can work as per your expectation, and not with the readily available codes like SPSS. So that is the benefit of, you can say, R and Python. You not only for time series data, but the panel data as well. You can have you can use multiple models for doing the analysis. Yes, we all dream of publishing papers into ABDC journals or UGC CARE listed journals, Scopus listed journals, wherein we want the advanced level research analysis to be done. You can use R and Python for that, and you can simply download R and Python. I hope this must have been discussed with you already, because the previous session that I went through was related to this machine learning. So in machine learning, you can you must have gone through maybe R and Python. I'm not sure of that, but you can download R and Python from this, because now depending on your background again. Now, if you want to use it in research, specifically only in research, I would suggest to go for R than that of Python. And if it is purely a financial data, or you can say economical data, more of economical data that you want to handle, then you can go for Python. Python comparatively is easier than R to understand, but R is better when it comes to research analysis and all these things. So, and it has many benefits. See, when I say more than 12,000 packages, means these are 12,000 ready macros in Excel language, if I have to talk. And these are not the simple macros of sum and all these things. No, those are already inbuilt into Python and into R. But like regression, as I said, like normalization of data, you simply need to know the syntax or code for that. What is the code for that? And you have to limit yourself. You need not learn the entire coding. You हमें engineer नहीं बनना है. उसके लिए engineers हैं, बैठे हैं. They will create packages for us. They do not know how to use these packages. We know how to use the packages, but we do not know how to create these packages. So this is where it's going to match for us. So this is how R, Python, Excel, and even I'm a big fan of Google Docs and Google Forms. Form Publisher, you can create even a diary of the data. I have created one diary. Let me just a second. Yeah. There are certain queries into the yes. I'll come back to your queries. Just let me show one diary that I had created into. Yes. I hope you can see this diary. Simply based on Google Form and Form Publisher, I can create a ready-made PDF file of all the data that I have collected from the students in the manner I want. Now, this one is a very simple example of it, the rough draft of it. When you can say I went further, I added graphs into it, I added tables into it, wherein I can see the progress here. It was basically for mentoring purposes. Uh, we all know that, okay, we are the student, we are not only the teachers, mentors as well. We have to create a lot of data related to students, from name to all their, you can say, subject marks and all that, and we want to see the progress. So how to make it more handy, how to make it more easy for us? With the help of Google Form, and Form Publisher is an add-on, we can simply collect the data from the student into the Google Form the way they normally solve the quizzes, and it can automatically create a diary for each and every participant who has submitted the data. You can do all sort of things into this particular file that you want to create. You can add charts, you can add tables, you can add, you can say, you can keep a space for your comments and so on. So there is a lot that you can do with Google as well, Google add-ons as well. I will, I guess, stop myself here. And one query I can see into chat box is free version of, just a second, ASAP add-on. Yes, there is a educator version available for ASAP. Okay, go for that because we are educators. Even for R and Python, go for individual version, because these are freely available. we are not going to pay for it, just like ASAP utilities, but there are other few, more than 10, 12 such utilities available. Even by searching on Google, you can find that. So this is how it is going to benefit you. Just let me go through the queries once again. Data aggregation and group operations in Python, how to perform. Rahul sir, you need to know only simply the codes for that. There are packages available for that. Group operations can be done also very easily into Python and into R. Which add-on for form publisher? The form publisher itself is a name of add-on, Pooja ma'am. So you can simply search into add-ons for form publisher, and you can link with Google Form and create a diary or PDF file, Word file. All these things you can create at one go from the data you have collected. Any other query? As of now, I am able to see only these many queries.
Dear participants, please put your query in chat box. Ma'am, there is one query. Once you have, in a previous, you have shown that you have converted Excel file into web page.
Yes, ma'am.
So question is regarding that what is the use of converting Excel file into a web page?
It is basically for better, you can say, visibility. Now I showed you one chart, but instead of that, now those who are not working with numbers, you can create charts or data or tables. Animation means animations you can create, and that you can publish into web page. It looks better, the look is better, and auto updation possibility there is there into web page. So basically it is for visualization benefit. There is no such additional analytical, you can say, analysis benefit from it, but yes, only from visualization point of view it is more beneficial.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Can you tell me something about
there is one more question.
What is important in it will take quite a lot of time, but again, another utility you can say, KU tools you call it, or Q tools you call it. There are many functions into it that you can use very easily, but it will take a time. I'll suggest to maybe contact me later on. I will tell you the details. So you can say important functions in Q tools to be used for basically from our teacher's point of view. Okay, can we get graphs also in the form publisher to our Google form? Google Forms में ग्राफ मिलना थोड़ा मुश्किल है. No, Google Form Publisher में ये I had heard that they are trying to put it, so maybe we'll have to wait for some more time to get it, but we may get it soon, very soon. As of now, no. Tables, yes. What can we use instead of it? We can actually create graphs from means instead of the PDF file, if you download the Word file, जो आप फॉर्म पब्लिशर से डॉक्यूमेंट बनाएंगे, if you simply download the Word file and in that you create a chart on your own, can also be done. Yes, I can share my mail ID. My mail ID I'll simply type into the chat box. You can reach me there. I hope this will be used for official purposes only. This is my mail ID which I have shared into the chat box. Any other query? Taboo, wow. See, you talk about SQL, you talk about R, you talk about Python. All these are like machine learning data analytics tools. Basically for data analytics, so you can decide the use of it. As an like for engineers, the uses are different. For the teachers, I'll not suggest these tools for teachers, but yes, for researchers, the uses are different. So it depends as from which aspect you want to use it. I'm basically more into R and Python, yet to reach Tableau and SQL. Yes, and there is one alternate of SPSS software through Excel. I have already given. Is there any alternate of SPSS software through Excel? SPSS you can get for 1 month on one ID, not ID, but what we call say. But instead of alternate software, you can get SPSS, or better way. What I suggested R is an alternate for SPSS. Minitab is there, but Minitab not for you can say us. It is mainly for people who are into operations and into engineering. I have typed my mail ID. I will again type it. Yes. I hope it is visible to you.
No, ma'am, it is not. Yeah, no, ma'am, it is not visible on chat box.
Okay, then everyone in the meeting. Yes.
Everyone, yeah.
Yes. Yes, I hope it is visible to everyone now. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it is visible.
Yes, there is one question from Ajay sir that can qualitative analysis be done into into Excel? Qualitative analysis in the sense you want to say, for example, behavioral data you collect, but it also has to be like in the form, the same manner. You can say not the open-ended questions, close-ended questions. If it is there, you can do analysis of any data into Excel. But it has to be like close-ended questions like multiple options, check boxes and all that. Not the opinion of the people directly. Otherwise, you can do the analysis of qualitative data as well. In fact, what I showed was related to more of that behavioral data only, and not you can say directly financial data or number data.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we are done with the questions. Thank you, ma'am,
Some value
for the
addition.
valuable. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for the valuable guidance on the recent technologies like advanced Excel, R, and Python, in effective teaching. You have taken us through practical application of this tool, which is a need of an education fraternity. Thank you for the great learning experience, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Madam, you are muted.
No, I was just saying thank you. It's okay. Thank you very much, all.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, dear participants, we'll have a short break of 10 minutes and we'll join back with the same link. Thank you. introduce Mr. Atul Kahate, an eminent personality in the field of computer application. Mr. Atul Kahate has rich experience for 18 years in information technology industry, has worked as consulting practice director at iFlex Oracle. He is a visiting faculty for many IT subjects at renowned institutes in Pune for more than 15 years. Mr. Atul has authored 70 books, not only in English but Marathi as well. He has many books based on computer technology for students as well as IT professionals. A feather in cap, his book titled Cryptography and Network Security has crossed the mark of 1,50,000 copies. He is a recipient of many prominent awards like Marathi Sahitya Parishad's Granthakar Puraskar twice, Uttam Grantha Puraskar, and Maharashtra government's State Literature Award for his books. He has also won Indradanu Maharashtra Times Award, Computer Society of India Award for IT Education and Literacy, Indira Excellence Award, Service Excellence Award, and GK Foundation's Social Contribution Award for contributions in IT. Another important aspect of his personality is he has officiated as a scorer and statistician in international cricket matches and is also a part of Maharashtra state government's Marathi Language Improvement Committee. It would be our proud privilege to have insight from Mr. Atul Kahate sir. Sir, I would request you to address all the participants on topic Internet Technology and E-commerce. Over to you, sir, please.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
A very warm good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to all of you, whosoever is attending. And since I'll be using a presentation for this particular session, I'll be switching the video off, okay, just to avoid the distraction and obviously also reduce the bandwidth for all of us. Towards the end of the session, in case we have time for any questions and answers, obviously I'll switch it on once again. So I just thought that putting a face to a name and also to a voice probably is important so that we can relate to whatever I'm saying. Okay, so maybe I'll leave this video on for a while, as I said, and then I'll switch it off okay, in a few minutes. So in terms of the presentation, I actually have not one but several PPTs, and I'll be using some parts of these presentations. And the reason I've done this is pretty simple. I actually have created these PPTs for such kinds of training courses, which actually cover a lot of topics, a variety of topics. And since these topics actually are one way or the other interrelated, and yet they have their own place. For example, what I mean by this is we have electronic commerce as one subject or one topic. We have, for example, mobile commerce as another topic. And as a result, there are several topics or subtopics which actually are linked in terms of the presentation that I'm trying to give. And therefore, I've kept these PPTs separate, and I'll not be using all the slides from all the PPTs. But as I said, I'll sort of cull out what is necessary. In terms of the time, as all of us are aware, this will be roughly for about 7.5 hours, including questions and answers, if any. So I'll try and cover whatever I have to say, roughly say in about 1 hour 15 minutes, hopefully leaving some time for questions and answers towards the end. But obviously, if you do have any questions during the session, please put them in the chat so that we can address them towards the end of the session. So with this, let me begin what I wanted to say. So as I said, the first topic that I wanted to cover is electronic commerce, and I'll just make this a presentation view so that it's better for us to look at. So when we talk about electronic commerce, okay, we have something called as the digital revolution, which started a number of years ago, as those from us from computer science background will know. So it started with things like vacuum tubes, transistors. It moved on to integrated circuits, microprocessors, quantum computers. So effectively, what we are talking about is a constant improvement in the computing technology. Actually, two things happened which contributed to this tremendous growth and rise of the concept of electronic commerce in terms of the digital revolution. And these two revolutions, or these two real rapid rises, were due to the increase in the computing technology, and secondly also mobile. Okay, so before I proceed, uh, there's something drawn on the screen. I'm not aware how it has appeared. I think somebody has drawn this on the screen, and secondly, somebody has also raised a hand. So, ma'am, should I continue, or you want to address something? I'm not sure.
You can continue, but only the thing is you stop sharing the screen and share it again, because somebody has put a scratch on the screen, annotations on the screen.
All right, okay. All right.
Yes, sir. It is perfect now. You can.
Okay. So I'll not obviously be spending much time on this particular slide, but this is just to give you a feel of the rapid rise that has happened in, I would say, last, say, about 50 to 60 years. And it is so massive in terms of the technological progress that it is mind-boggling. From the times when there was nothing called as a computer, to a stage where we now actually have handheld devices, and maybe in the near future, not even handheld devices, but even maybe very small chips that could get embedded inside our bodies that will be conducting electronics commerce transactions. It's a huge change, and just so that we appreciate it, I have put this slide. But really what we are talking about here for today's session is the whole idea of what we call as the digital economy. And I think it's a very interesting concept, because we're not talking of, let's say, something like an e-commerce alone, where maybe you can log on to your Amazon account and you can purchase something, or maybe let's say you can log on to your banking website and you perform some banking transactions, or let's say you log on to an airline's website or IRCTC and let's say book the airline's ticket or train ticket. We are talking of our whole life becoming digital. So we are not looking at isolated events or isolated kinds of transactions, but the whole life that a human being today has become digital. And I think that's an impact which is tremendous for the reason that today, even if you are not directly, let's say, for example, doing anything on the internet or let's say a smartphone, indirectly somebody is doing it. And as a result, you are getting impacted. So there are many names that people give to this digital economy. So some people call this as the internet economy. Some people call this as a new economy. Some people call it as a web economy. the idea is actually the same, which is that it's not the individual transactions that we do, but the whole life that we today have has become digital. And very interestingly, this new digital economy is very clearly getting intertwined or combined with the traditional economy. And it's becoming very, very hard or difficult to distinguish between what we call as the traditional economy versus what we call as the digital economy. Just to give you an example, or maybe a couple of examples which will help us understand this. Today, let's say when we talk about maybe not cooking at home and let's say having a lunch or a dinner or a breakfast outside, there are two possibilities. Leave alone the corona situation and the fact that maybe we don't go out much to eat, at least in the current state. But I would say in the normal non-corona circumstances, if we actually just examine this, whenever we decide to eat out, we have two possibilities. One is obviously we go out and eat at a favorite restaurant for the family. And today, the second option is we order from that restaurant sitting at home. So maybe we log on to a Swiggy or a Zomato or whatever is the food ordering application. And now we are joining the traditional old economy in which that restaurant used to operate with the new digital economy, from where now we are ordering it using an app or maybe a website. So the distinction between what was traditional and what is digital, or what was old and what is new, very clearly is diminishing. Today, to buy a book, maybe many of us don't go to a book, maybe a bookstore, but we actually order it from, let's say, an Amazon or a Flipkart. So the book actually is an example of the old economy. The restaurant is an example of the old economy. But ordering it, sitting at home or from wherever you are, using a laptop or a mobile phone, is the example of the new economy. So the two have got combined so clearly that it's becoming very difficult to distinguish. Today, for instance, the whole, and all of you are from some sort of a educational related activity background. All of us know that today the entire education is actually happening online. So I'm aware that many of the faculty members are actually now coming to the college, and maybe from there they are delivering lectures online. But the whole point is education has been a part of the traditional economy, but now we are delivering all the lectures, even conducting exams, announcing results. The whole thing is happening online. So again, we have a combination of the old economy getting combined with the digital economy. So what are the various components of what we call as the digital economy or e-commerce and all the associated areas? So according to some statistics and projections, again, the numbers, if you see, are really, really worth looking at, because the predictions are that in the IT and ITES related areas, the component was close to about 160 billion US dollars, and it is projected to be 350 USD by 2024-25. I'll not read out all the numbers. The slide is in front of you, but you can see that in less than a decade, the growth of various businesses, and in some cases, you can see that the numbers are maybe trebling. In the case of e-commerce, the projections are that the numbers will grow maybe 5 times. In digital payments, it will go actually from 3 billion to 50 billion. So all these are really, really huge numbers. And the most important point here is they will give us an indication about which are likely to be the success stories, which are likely to be the areas where in the future we will see more and more of technological advances and also business related advances. So for example, if we talk about the sharing economy, the growth is projected to be from 1 billion to 50 billion. Somebody is not on mute. Could you please unmute yourself? Thank you. So in the sharing economy, if you see, the growth is projected to be 50 times. So when we say what is sharing economy, we are talking about things, let's say like OLX, where people buy and sell used goods. Or let's say we are talking of maybe sharing a cab using Ola or Uber. So these kinds of businesses were unheard of. And what I want to therefore tell you is that please don't look at all this concept of digital economy as maybe you order something from Amazon. I think my point hopefully should be clear now that it's a vast, vast canvas. And the point is, no matter what our profession is, what our likes and dislikes are, we are today and in definitely tomorrow are going to be impacted by this digital economy. So I'll just skip some slides maybe which are not relevant. And this is an interesting slide. Some of these would be familiar, I think, to many of us, but there are a lot of hidden areas again which are not clear, and therefore I'll go through them. So how can we look at the various e-commerce business areas? So some terms, as I said, B2B, B2C, these are fairly common and people use them quite extensively, but nevertheless, I'll go through them. So the first type of e-commerce is what we call as B2B, where we have a business corresponding with another business using the internet as a platform. So a simple example could be, let's say that a large manufacturer or maybe even an auto giant, let's say, for example, if we take an example of Pune itself, all of us know that in the Pimpri Chinchwad industrial belt, there are many companies who are actually considered to be world class. So, for example, Bajaj Auto and Tata Motors and so many of them. So, if let's say we take the example of Bajaj Auto, now Bajaj Auto to even manufacture, let's say, a bike, obviously requires many spare parts. Maybe it requires an engine to be manufactured by someone. It requires the handle, the brake, the gear, and all kinds of assembly related equipment. So when Bajaj Auto has to purchase all of these equipments, make payments, maybe if some of the items are not up to the mark, it has to make a return, it has to do all the paperwork. So all this can be facilitated using the internet today with the concept of what is called as B2B. So the point here is that on both sides we have businesses, and that is where we distinguish this B2B kind of concept from the second type, which is called as B2C. So here, all of us are very familiar. As I said, many of us order so many things using the internet today, let's say from Amazon and Swiggy and so many of them. All these are examples of B2C, where a business is actually selling something to a consumer like us. And there are newer kinds of business models that have come up because of the digital economy, and I'll spend a few minutes discussing those. So there is a very interesting kind of business model which has come up, which is called as C2C. So here, instead of a business selling something to a consumer or a customer, it's actually consumer or customer on both sides. And a classic example of that I actually mentioned already is what we call as the auction. So, or let's say even a simple example of that you are moving your home to another city. So you are actually moving to a different city altogether, and you want to probably sell some of the goods that you have instead of carrying them to the new city. So you put or place an advertisement on a website like OLX saying that I want to maybe sell my sofa set, I want to sell my dining table and chairs, right? Some items which I'll not be carrying to the new city, and whosoever wishes to purchase can approach me And that's actually an example of C2C. Or as you would know, there are very interesting websites that have come up to facilitate even the real estate transactions, such as, let's say, No Broker, where instead of buying and selling a house through a broker, which is the traditional mechanism, people simply advertise their homes on such a website which does not involve a broker, and whosoever is the interested buyer directly approaches the seller. All these are examples of C2C, and without the internet technology being available, this would have been completely impossible. So the point here that we need to understand is to realize that while on one side the internet is progressing, newer technologies are constantly coming up, bandwidth obviously is increasing, which means data rates are faster. We are moving from 3G to 4G to 5G. We have broadband connections. We have extremely sophisticated user interface devices. We have smartphones. We have tabs, the most popular iPhones and iPads. But all of this is not just a hardware change or an infrastructure change. Because of these advances in the technology, newer and very interesting kinds of applications are coming up. And this C2C, I would say, is one such example. C2B is also very, very interesting, and very few people actually think about this. So when we talk about C2B, what we are talking about is that a consumer is selling something to a business. Now, think about this. A consumer selling something to a business is probably something that we can not even think of. So, what is there for a consumer to sell to a business? So, the idea here is that it can be looked at in two ways. One is, let's say, something like, let's say, a real celebrity, like, for example, say a Virat Kohli, or let's say a famous actor or an actress, or somebody who is very popular today is, as you must be knowing, is going to tweet or is going to send something on Instagram, create a story, or maybe going to make a post. And this particular advertisement, which is a very silent advertisement in the form of this post or a story or a tweet, is being accepted by a business. So this business is paying Virat Kohli, for example, to say that this new product is very good, or maybe you go ahead and watch this movie. So whatever is that product or a service. So by endorsing these celebrities, because they are celebrities and they command a large mind share, they are actually selling their services to a business. The second form of C2B would be that today artists independently record songs, and if, let's say, those songs, and that this is not restricted only to song, it could be for all forms of art. Maybe a painter paints a picture and then they sell it to maybe an auctioneer, or the musician or the artist sends this to a music company, and then the company pays the artist and has a copyright on that song. So these kinds of business opportunities actually were probably very less or unheard of earlier, but now they are emerging very fast, and people are utilizing their skills, their popularity, maybe their celebrity status, their artistic nature, whatever it is, to sell this. You must be knowing also that a lot of people today create videos, and if the number of viewers on YouTube crosses a certain limit, they get paid. So there are a lot of people, and this used to, of course, happen quite a lot with a lot of Chinese apps such as TikTok, right, where people were actually earning only by posting very small or short videos on YouTube, in this case, TikTok. So this was something which was unheard of, but these kinds of C2B businesses or opportunities are coming up. And the last one is B2G or C2G. So here, either a business or a consumer is interacting with the government. So for example, when we talk of business interacting with the government, we are talking of a situation where, let's say, the government is floating some tenders. Maybe a road needs to be constructed, water pipeline needs to be fixed, a bridge needs to be built, whatever is the work that is required. And then using the internet, the tenders are floated, and the companies, the private businesses, whosoever are interested, fill these tenders. Maybe one of them is selected on the basis of the scrutiny, payments are made. So all this is conducted using the internet, and hence we have this new form of business. It is called as visible business, where we talk about the citizens or the consumers interacting with the government. So several examples of this can again be given. For example, our domicile certificates, our education certificates, the birth and death certificates, any complaints that citizens want to make. So all this in several places is now either automated or is hosted on the internet. And therefore, a citizen is directly interacting with the government. And this is also becoming a part or a form of the digital economy. So the digital economy is really vast because it provides or facilitates so many different businesses. And I think that's the larger picture that we should see. So before we go to the next slide, I'll just uh, check the messages just to see whether, or ma'am, you can let me know in case I need to look at any messages. Okay, I'll continue. Uh, so the various kinds of e-commerce or digital businesses that I spoke of, okay, are mentioned here, and therefore I'll skip some of these slides. And now we have a very interesting situation where not only we have these business opportunities, but there are so many virtual or online communities that are being created, and these are also giving rise to a lot of business related opportunities. So a virtual community, all of us know, is a community of people sharing some common ideas, interests, feelings over the internet or some form of collaborative networks. So it's nothing but a social network such as, say, Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, or there are so many newer networks coming up like Snapchat, etc. The idea here being that there is something common among people. So, for example, it could be the case that there is a common interest. Maybe they are already friends of each other. Maybe they are looking for making new friends. Maybe they simply want to share whatever they wish to share. But the point is, this is creating such a large possibility of business opportunity, because until now, before we had these virtual or online communities, to identify a target or a group for maybe focusing even advertisements or selling products and all of that was very cumbersome. But now you have almost a homogeneous group of people which can be targeted across geographical boundaries, across political boundaries, across maybe caste, religion, language, everything. And therefore, this has become a very powerful kind of mechanism for not just the e-commerce companies, but even for politicians, as we know, to directly communicate with people, avoiding, let's say, the traditional media. So please understand here that this is not just related to e-commerce or business or digital economy, but this is now being used and at times even misused by a lot of people with vested interests, in particular the politicians, who maybe use these platforms today, as all of us know, to give out thoughts one way, right? So there is absolutely no way you can criticize or you can ask questions and all of that, and it's happening in all countries. So the change in technology and newer forms of or means of communication like social media are not just creating business opportunities, but they are creating situations which probably were unheard of or unthinkable even a few years ago, but it's happening right in front of our eyes. Electronic commerce, I would say, yeah, this is an interesting point. So what are the trends that we see when we talk about digital economy or emerging trends in e-commerce? So some of the trends I'll just mention. So one trend that is increasingly being seen is what we call as personalization and customer engagement. So what do we mean by this? Is we are attracted towards websites and apps that are not just user friendly, but they give us a feeling that those websites are almost observing us. Those websites are giving a very, very warm kind of feeling to us. They recognize what we want, what we like, what we dislike, and accordingly they are treating us. A classic example that I mentioned on this slide. So if you log on to the Amazon account, and I'm sure all of us have seen this, we immediately see our purchase history, possibly what we may wish to buy, maybe any special offers for us. So all this is customized for us, which means that different users based on their logins will see the same screen, but they will see different information. Amazon very clearly is distinguishing between people. It's distinguishing between what they have done in the past, what they would possibly like to do in the future, and companies like Amazon are using all of this to not only just target you, but they are making you feel that they really know you, and you are a really wanted type of customer. So that sort of personalization and customer engagement is the norm, or the trend that is seen currently. And technologies like big data and artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, all these technologies are helping companies such as Amazon and Facebook and Google and Instagram and Netflix to make their applications and websites as attractive as possible, and I would even say as addictive as possible. So Netflix, for example, those of us who have seen Netflix or even Amazon Prime or Hotstar, I'm sure most of us have. So you would notice that not only are the contents on such OTT apps, as they are called, uh, very, very interesting and attractive and addictive. They don't want you to simply leave or log out of that particular app. So Netflix, for example, whenever you watch a movie, it will immediately tell you this is what you would possibly want to watch next. And this is something which obviously is going to create addictive kind of behavior, because you start thinking that, oh, Netflix knows possibly what I like, what I don't like, and therefore it is giving me a very royal treatment. And as a result, and obviously because you want to spend time watching something interesting, you keep on watching. But this personalization and customer engagement, so these kinds of phenomena are really, really seen be changing people's behavior towards the use of the internet. As I mentioned, artificial intelligence is being used here also, but it's also used in a very interesting manner, as mentioned in point number 2, which is in the form of assistants and chatbots. So today, for example, whenever you go to any popular websites, I'll just give you an example of HDFC Bank. So if you're an HDFC Bank account holder, and let's say you wish to report some sort of an issue or problem, or you require some help from the bank, the most common way of getting it addressed today is not by calling maybe a help desk number, or not even visiting a branch, but the bank provides you a facility in the form of what is called as a chatbot. And many companies and institutions now provide this in the form of WhatsApp also. So this chatbot, as it's called, is nothing but it's a short form for chatting robot. So chatting robot is a chatbot. The idea being that whenever you wish to have any problem reported or an address or an issue addressed or resolved, you actually chat with this chatbot. So this chatbot software comes with a prompt saying, hello, so and so. And in HDFC Bank's case, I'll just tell you, this particular chatbot has a name called as EVA. Whatever name, obviously, that company wishes to give, different companies will give their chatbots different names. So this EVA will say, I'm there to assist you. And then it will say, what do you want today? So for example, what is your question? So let's say I type a question there saying, I want to open a fixed deposit. Then that chatbot will look at my question. Obviously, please understand it's not a human being, it's a computer. So this computer will receive my question. It will parse the question, which means it will analyze the question, and then it will understand that I'm looking for something to do with fixed deposits. So it will come back with an answer saying, our fixed deposit rates are as follows. And then it will probably show me a table at 0 to 15 days, maybe it's 2.5%, right? And so on and so forth. And then I'll say, then it will ask, do you want to open a fixed deposit right now? Yes or no? So if let's say I click on the yes button, it will immediately give me a link to open a fixed deposit. If, for example, I say no, it may come back with a different answer saying, okay, you don't want to open a fixed deposit now. Is there any other service that I can provide? So please understand, it's almost as if we are talking to a human being from a call center. Of course, these chatbots are not so sophisticated. So sometimes, or I'll say rather many times, they may not understand our questions, they may not understand our language. So they may fail at times to really address our question, and then eventually we may have to talk to a human being. But the way these technologies are improving at such a rapid rate, chances are that in maybe about 5 to 10 years' time, these chatbots will completely replace the concept of what we call as, today, for example, what we call as a call center. And in some cases, even the business out processing in the form of BPO, right? All the back office processing will go away. So these technologies, as they are emerging and as they are becoming very excited, they're also taking away a lot of jobs. So today, for example, why do you require a call center? Full-fledged call center. Maybe the chatbots can do 20% of the call center work today, and in near future, maybe it could do 50%, and in a few years' time, maybe even 80–90%. Today, banks are talking about branch-less operations. We are not talking about less branches. Okay, let's clarify this point. We are saying that the banks are saying, why do we require branches? We don't require a branch, physical branch. So if a customer has a problem, we have a full-fledged internet service, we have a chatbot, right from opening a bank account till closing a bank account, including everything in between, can be done on the internet, and we have a very easy app which you can use. So some banks actually have started working on this particular model. You may not know this, but in Japan in particular, there is a bank which only has existence on the internet. So there is no physical branch. So if, for example, you want to say that today I have to go to the bank for some work, there is simply no place to go because the bank simply does not have a physical existence. And it is possible that even in India, such kinds of things will happen in the near future. We are talking about several sweeping changes. Think about what will happen to the real estate that is occupied by banks, by insurance companies, by mutual fund operations, all the financial services. Why do we require such large physical kinds of spaces? Just as because of COVID, we have realized that maybe so many offices are actually not required. People can work from home. And in a similar manner, because of the digital economy trends, maybe a lot of other places will become vacant and a lot of things will get automated. B2B commerce is exploding. So we are thinking only about B2C. We are only talking about again Amazon and Flipkart, but the B2B operations are becoming so huge, so large that most of the large 500 B2B organizations are saying that 80% of them are now accepting orders and even the payments through the website. This was not heard of before because, as you know, when we are talking about B2B, the orders are going to be really, really large, extremely large. So we are talking about, let's say, things like maybe lakhs of rupees in certain cases, some crores of rupees being exchanged. And those companies did not find the internet to be a suitable kind of mechanism for such transactions. But today they are happily using such platforms. And on this slide, I'm just giving you an example of a chatbot in case you haven't seen a chatbot before. So there's a flight booking related chatbot. So the customer is saying, let's look for tickets. The chatbot says, okay. And then the customer says, the chatbot says from New York to Seattle on particular dates for 2 adults and says, is this information correct? The customer confirms yes. And then the chatbot says, okay, for this particular requirement of yours, I have found 17 results and gives a link for the customer to see all the results. So this is a typical example of chatbot and how it operates. So you can realize that if, let's say, we have such chatbots being implemented by companies, these kinds of jobs, which are typically called as the clerical or operator type of jobs, a large type of such jobs will go away. People such as those working in the call centers, maybe working as maybe the tailors in banks, maybe working as assistants, maybe working as receptionists. So a whole set of jobs could be replaced by chatbots in the near future. Some of the other interesting trends, interactive product visualization. So this is true about many of us, that unless and until we actually try out a product, unless and until we touch a product, feel a product, we don't wish to purchase. So many people I know of, and I'm sure you must be knowing about, and maybe some of us are also in that category, that unless and until, let's say, you try out a shirt or whatever you are trying to purchase, you're not comfortable buying it online. So even if the website says size is so and so, color is so and so, you want to actually touch it, feel it, try it out, and only then you will be able to, let's say yes or no. So what are companies doing in order to satisfy this kind of requirement? So today, there are technologies such as virtual reality, augmented reality, 3D kind of imaging, and so on. So these are amazing technologies which allow a customer to actually almost try out the product sitting at home. Now, this may sound very, very strange as to how can this happen. So what maybe in the last example of virtual reality or an augmented reality kind of application will do is, let's say you select a particular shirt on a website, but as I said, unless and until you feel the texture of the cloth, unless and until you see whether it fits in terms of the size and so on, you're not very happy. So this particular website, what it will do is it will actually give you an option to almost try the shirt sitting at home. Now how? So it will have special equipment, which is called as the augmented reality equipment, using which now, if you are connected to that website, this website will start showing you how do you look like in that shirt without you wearing the shirt. Think about it. You have not worn the shirt, but it will actually show you how you would look like from whichever angle you want, because it's a 3D kind of system. So how does it look like? How are the colors? How are the features? In terms of size, is it a good fit? What about the texture? So it will also give you a facility to feel the texture. So you can actually touch something, which will tell you how is the fabric. Now, we may think this is impossible, but this is happening right now as we speak. And so many interesting things are happening in this particular space that tomorrow a lot of people will maybe say, why go to a physical shop if you can do all of this sitting at home? Obviously, there will be a section of people who would want to physically go to a shop and try it out because they like shopping. But there'll be another set of people who would simply say, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to get into the traffic. Why get into the parking hassle? I'll do this whole thing sitting at home. More custom retail experience is another interesting feature. And that is something where I will say companies like Amazon, okay, are sort of plotting this. Why I'm saying they're plotting this is because, as we know, Amazon is a company which has literally killed a number of retail kind of businesses. Simplest of them, bookstore, right? So if, for example, in the city of Pune, you observe maybe 10 years or 15 years ago, I'm sure there would be, there were, why even would be, there were so many physical bookstores. And now today, if you count the number of physical bookstores, I'm not even saying count the academic type of bookstores in Appa Balwan Chowk or whatever, where obviously there are so many educational books which students have to buy for educational reasons. I'm saying general bookstores, and this is true of all cities. For example, I remember when I had been to Bangalore, there used to be a 4 or 5 story bookstore called as Gangaram's bookstore, and today I think a few years ago it actually closed down, and maybe it's now open in a very small kind of form. The point being, all these kinds of businesses are completely closed down. Why? Because people buy books from Amazon. So Amazon has literally killed the retail bookstore chain or retail bookstore business. And now, very interestingly, the same Amazon is doing exactly the reverse of what it did. So what it's trying to do, I'll explain after I also go through a couple of other examples. So just like bookstores, as all of us know, the next in line is maybe the cloth and clothes manufacturers, maybe the shoes manufacturers and retail stores. So many business lines are getting impacted because of Amazon. Everything is available on Amazon, so why go to a physical shop? Same Amazon is saying, by the way, there could be a few situations where, in spite of using augmented reality, 3D imaging, virtual reality, there could be a few customers who may still wish to go to a physical store, try out the product, and then buy. We understand this requirement. Now, the same Amazon has actually killed so many retail shops and businesses is setting up its own retail shops. So if, for example, you select a particular product on Amazon, but before you confirm and purchase that product, you wish to go to a particular shop and actually have a look at that product, and then you confirm. Amazon is saying, we are creating specialty stores for this. So select the product on Amazon, but you wish to try it out, go to the shop that we are setting up. There, go and confirm the order. The same Amazon, which has killed these businesses, is now setting up shops to do exactly the reverse of what it was doing earlier. So these are some of the examples of what I described earlier. So here, excuse me, we are talking about the interactive product visualization, where you are looking at, let's say, a shoe or a pair of shoes, and there are options to rotate. So you see how it looks like from any angles. Uh, you can change the color and see how it looks like. Some of these obviously are already available on Amazon and Flipkart, and I'm sure all of us use these features. But now this is getting even better and better. Okay, so again, I'll skip some of the other slides. I think most of these points are not really. So these are some of the points, this particular PPT that I'll quickly review before I move on to the second presentation. Looking at the time, I think we have spent some 45 minutes. So the remaining, say, half an hour, I'll cover the other points. So having spoken about all the advantages and great advances in digital economy and e-commerce, what are the issues that we are fearful about? So obviously there are issues pertaining to security and lack of privacy. So as we know, so many people get cheated, their bank accounts get wiped out, their personal details are revealed on social media. There are so many situations where there are derogatory messages or fake profiles getting created and so on. So the number of issues pertaining to security, lack of privacy, they are huge. There are so many tax issues. So for example, a Google or an Amazon or a Facebook, should it be paying taxes in India? Should it be paying taxes only in the US? But then Amazon says, no, no, we are a company which is registered in the US. But then Amazon India makes such huge sales. So why should the Indian government not recover taxes? All these are very tricky issues. And a lot of legal battles keep going on between these. Then there are issues because of lack of security in terms of fear, the product is really suitable or no. A lot of cultural obstacles come. So as we know, sometimes some products are advertised on Amazon or Flipkart, and then some section of the society does not like it for whatever reasons. So the religious sentiments are hurt or something happens. The labor costs sometimes are very high. That becomes a problem. A lot of legal issues come up in terms of copyright, in terms of things not being returnable, payment related issues, and obviously the technical limitation. So not everywhere internet is so fast and accessible. Not everywhere do we have access to smartphones. So what happens when these things are not available? So obviously not everything is good about this, but it's something that we cannot really stop. And that was the first set of things which I wanted to cover. I'll quickly move to the second area and again cover some of the relevant or related points. So mobile commerce. So the only difference between e-commerce and m-commerce from a technical perspective is that if we access the internet through a mobile phone, it actually becomes an m-commerce instead of e-commerce. But then it's not just a device change. Because of the device change, so many interesting possibilities come up. For example, you can request a ride at the push of a button, as we know, using Uber or Ola, because of the location service. So because you are using a mobile, because you are moving, and the location can be detected and you have a GPS, this is not possible in the case of a stationary internet like a PC or a laptop-based internet. So m-commerce gives you what we call as location-based service. And this location-based services is again such a huge opportunity. For example, this Ola and Uber is one case, but when you are moving, say for example, you are traveling on either a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, today the way we use maps and we use the location services, this again was unthinkable a few years ago, right? So if let's say we wanted to go to a place and we did not know where it's exactly located, we used to ask so many people for help, and we used to struggle, we used to take wrong turns, and eventually, hopefully, we would reach the place. But today, we simply ask somebody at the destination to share the location. Once that person shares the location and we put it in our phone, all we have to do is to drive as per the instructions that the phone is giving. This was unthinkable without m-commerce. So what are the attributes that are specific to m-commerce? So one is its ubiquitous nature, that the information is available in real time regardless of where you are. It's very convenient because again, it's always there with you. It's instantly connected. again does not depend on the location, unless of course there are issues pertaining to the lack of signal or lack of service. Personalization, so individual level features, it's my phone, it's my Instagram, it's my game, it's my location, it's my WhatsApp, so I am the owner. And this sort of personalization is again a sea change, huge change. And I want you to think about this for a minute. It's not only about m-commerce, but also about e-commerce. Think about how we used to consume entertainment, say even a couple of years ago or 3 years ago. At best, the form of entertainment for most of us was a television. And then maybe we had a cable connection, or we had, let's say, a Tata Sky or a Dish or a Videocon, Airtel, whatever was the service. Now, whenever we had this kind of service for entertainment, the way we used to consume this was most of the times the entire family, or at least a large part of the family, would sit in front of the television set, and everybody would watch the same program, right? So there used to be a schedule, and then maybe there were some serials which only the ladies at home would watch, maybe some sports events which only maybe the youngsters or some people would watch. But barring these exceptions, I would say at least say 50%, 60% of the content would be watched by everyone. So the whole family would sit in front of the TV. Now think about how we consume entertainment today. It is 100% individualistic. So the whole family very rarely today sits in front of the TV and watches anything. But instead, everyone watches these OTT platforms, the Netflixes and Amazon Prime and so on their own individually as per their choice. So everybody maybe watches it on his or her phone or laptop, or even if on TV, that is not common. Everybody watches it separately. So the whole consuming pattern is now has become very personalized, and this is a huge change. So when Netflix, for example, suggests the, the next program that we should watch, it's not suggesting it for the entire family. Please understand, it's suggesting for the individual. This individualistic nature is taken to an extreme by these technologies. So they say it's my phone, they say it's my Instagram, my Netflix, my everything, my Amazon account. So they are giving you this feeling that you own it as an individual, you have the power, and therefore uh, people consume this very, very differently from how they were consuming a few years ago. And I think it's a big change that we should think of. Location based services, I already mentioned. So this has also given rise, obviously, to things like mobile marketing. I'll not discuss these points. And another interesting point that has come because of this uh, is an area which is called as social commerce. So today, for example, you would see that advertisements are not just appearing on e-commerce or internet-based websites, but they are also increasingly appearing on social media. So if you go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp still doesn't have them, but on most of the social media related websites, you will see so many advertisements constantly being shown to us. Now, what happens here is that it's not just advertisement. Think about it very closely. The way the advertisements are shown here are in two forms. One is based on whatever activity we have done previously. So let's say, for example, we have gone to Amazon, we have purchased a few books, and then let's say we get onto a social media website. Amazon will now tell you on that social media website that you have purchased these things or these books. Now, why don't you try some other books? So because of our own previous actions, these advertisements are coming to us. And the second and very interesting point is even if we have not done something, based on our friends or connections in these social media, we start seeing a lot of advertisements. So for example, let's say just hypothetically, suppose that I have some 200 friends on Facebook. Then if let's say somebody has done something in terms of an e-commerce transaction, then that very silently starts appearing in my own feed, saying that your friend has done something on a particular website. So would you also like to do it? So for example, a friend has played a game. Would you like to play it? Now, if my friend has done something, chances are that I would also be attracted, knowing that my friend and I have, let's say, common interests. Maybe we share the same wavelength. And if that friend has done something, it must be interesting. And naturally, I'll also get attracted and probably use that particular service. Maybe it's a game, maybe it's a product, maybe he has booked a tour to travel somewhere, maybe he has booked a hotel. So whatever that friend has done, chances are that I'll also do it. So these very smart companies are utilizing these human connections and human behavioral patterns to use social media as a very common form of commerce, and that collectively is called as social commerce. Uh, it's not just about showing advertisements and patterns, but it's a platform also to interact with consumers or customers. For example, as many of us know, today many companies have a lot of dependence, a lot of presence on social media. There was a famous case, I don't know whether you've heard of it, but a few years ago, Apple, as usual, launched a new product. I think it was some version of iPhone. And what happened was, as usual, people were waiting in queues to buy the product even overnight. And then whosoever bought the first phone was very happy. So that person clicked a photo, maybe a selfie, posted it on Facebook and Twitter and all that. But unfortunately for Apple, what happened was some consumers who bought this phone were not very happy. So they said it doesn't actually look like the original Apple phone at all, because some features are not good. Maybe it's not satisfactory in some other aspects. And they started posting negative comments about it on Twitter. And a lot of other users also started reacting to it, and that became a trending topic. And as a result, there was a flood of comments which were anti this particular product, and Apple really got shocked. And the sales in a matter of a couple of days depleted. So not many people were now willing to buy this phone. Then there used to be long queues waiting to buy Apple products. And as a result, Apple actually had to silently withdraw this product, and it had to relaunch in a different form. So if such successful companies as Apple can be made to face these kinds of situations using social media, you can imagine what could happen to ordinary people and ordinary companies. As a result, these social media platforms are taken very seriously by these companies. So they monitor what goes on social media. They have their own social media handles where you can report problems. They interact back with you. They provide customer service and support. So social media and social commerce, it's not just about buying and selling of products or advertisements or endorsements from celebrities. It's also about customer support, looking at what is happening around the world, what precautions you should take, how you should identify the opportunities, and therefore it has become quite. Okay, some slides again, which I'll skip. So what are the main benefits of this social commerce? So obviously there is a consistent audience growth, because although maybe over a period of time people do get fed up with certain social media platforms, invariably they don't stop using it. Most probably they switch to another platform. So when maybe people got fed up, some people got fed up with Facebook, they migrated to Instagram, but they did not go out of. they did not go out of social media. So the point is there is a consistent sort of audience growth. The number of users is constantly increasing, and therefore companies can keep on profiting from it. Many times this gives higher search engine ranking. So whatever products that you are manufacturing or services you are offering, if you have a social media presence, chances that your product will be on top of the search list are very high. And as a result, if let's say you have a clear presence on social media with a blue tick type of account, people do take you very seriously. So that sort of engagement is considered to be far more authentic. Traffic is considered to be very serious, and it results clearly into a lot of customer loyalty and retention. And you can also derive what is called as business metrics. That is, how successful are your social media campaigns? What has been a hit? What has been a miss? What you should do going forward? How you can connect your users and customers and suppliers? So whole lot of things are possible. So this is generally about mobile commerce and e-commerce. Okay. Again, I'll skip some of the irrelevant slides and I'll move on to the next set of slides. Considering the time, I think it's about 13 minutes. So what are the different mechanisms through which electronic commerce can be conducted today? So there are a lot of options available. For example, there are things like electronic catalogs, which simply means which products are available, what are the terms and conditions, what are the prices, what are the shipping details. Then there is a very interesting mode or mechanism called as electronic auctions or e-auctions, where people buy and sell things online. And these auctions again take very interesting forms. For example, it could be a buyer side auction, it could be a seller side auction. So an example could be, if it's a buyer side auction, somebody is trying to sell maybe a real estate, so a house, or let's say a shop. And then whosoever is interested will maybe post bids, and the seller will decide who will be able to buy. Then there could be buyer side types of bids, which means that the buyer or multiple or one buyer is actually saying that I want to purchase something, and then multiple sellers will respond. So for example, a buyer says, I want to purchase a house in this particular locality. The intended size is so and so, and my budget is this much of rupees. Then there could be maybe real estate operators, builders, a lot of maybe middlemen who would respond to this saying, these are the options that are available to you, and then the buyer will select. And there could be a third situation where there are multiple sellers and multiple buyers. Classic example that I gave you was OLX. So these sorts of auctions are creating a lot of interest, a lot of business opportunities. They are even creating or resulting into the creation of new companies altogether. For example, OLX is the classic example which got created because of multiple buyer and seller side or number situation. Then there are e-malls, which is a short, small version of electronic catalogs, and e-marketplaces, which is again something to do with e-auctions. I'll spend some time maybe discussing this. So the e-commerce marketplace again could be of various types. It could be buyer oriented, supplier oriented, independent, and vertical or horizontal. When we say vertical or horizontal, we are talking about whether all the products in general are available, or is it in a particular industry. So there could be specialization. So marketplace may be only for industrial goods. Marketplace only maybe for real estate related, let's say, development. So these kinds of marketplaces can be created. And here the buyers and suppliers could be from different industries or regions, but they complete a transaction in a horizontal marketplace. But in a vertical marketplace, it uses as I said, different industries or different verticals in terms of the business. Again, I'll skip some of, yeah. This also is a very interesting phenomenon. So the digital economy and e-commerce is creating two different types of situations. One is what is called as disintermediation, and second is what is called as re-intermediation. What could be the examples and how do we understand it? So disintermediation is a situation where it's actually bringing several sort of, let's say, parties together, and as a result, what it is doing here, it's actually removing the intermediaries as the distributors, and it's bringing several brokers or parties together to directly interact with the customer. So that is what is called as disintermediation. And examples of that are say makemytrip.com, where you can choose and book from
एंजॉय कर रहे क्योंकि मुझे समझ गया प्याज व्याज है मैं चतुर्मास में प्याज लहसुन नहीं खा रही
So you have a number of maybe airlines, number of hotels. So several bookings can be done from one website. So it's very clearly removing a lot of intermediaries and distributors, and you can perform your own transaction on a single platform. So that is Make My Trip. Amazon, obviously, it's bringing so many buyers and sellers together at a single place, and it's allowing all these parties to interact. So all these are examples of what we call as disintermediation. Whereas re-intermediation is actually creating new business opportunities or new intermediaries between the buyers and the sellers, or customers and suppliers. So for example, there are income tax filling websites. Many of us would be knowing, for example, there is Clear Tax and others, which allow people to fill their income or submit their income tax returns online, and they will charge maybe some percentage. Amazon fulfillment centers is another example, because what Amazon will do is it will bring maybe the fulfillment center closer to the customer, so that the customer gets deliveries faster. And then there are so many portals or websites which have been created to provide one-stop sort of service for financial, banking, insurance industries. So there is, let's say, the example of Bank Bazaar. There is another example like, say, Paytm, and so on. So only on one single website, all your financial needs and services can be fulfilled. So you can, right from opening a bank account to making payments and maybe ordering things and shopping, everything can be done on a single website. So these types of models again are looked at whenever a startup decides to come up. The founders go through all these options, think where we actually fit. Are we a disintermediary? Are we a re-intermediary? Or we are none of these? We are something different. And all these thought process goes through before these types of decisions are made. Again, some details I'll skip. So e-auction, as I already mentioned, is of several types, but there's a very interesting subtype that also comes up in e-commerce. One is what is called as the forward auction, and second is what is called as the reverse auction. So in a forward auction, what happens is there are several buyers who approach a particular seller, and they say, we wish to buy something. And then the seller decides which is the best bid. And accordingly, the seller says, among all the buyers, I will select who I want to buy it from. Okay. And the other case is where there are multiple sellers or suppliers. And these sellers or suppliers actually are trying to get the attention of one buyer. So now the buyer will decide who to buy it from. And that this is in technical terms called as a reverse auction. The way this is done, the technology behind it, the computing systems behind it obviously are different. And the business model is also different. So an example of this, for particular case would be, let's say, a situation where the supplier is, let's say, the government. So the government is floating a tender for some work, and multiple companies are then coming up and saying, we wish to bid for this tender. We want to do this work. But then the government will scrutinize, the government will decide among these, who should I give this contract to? And this second example is a situation where, as I said, somebody is interested in buying a house. So this person on that reverse auction platform will post an advertisement saying, I wish to purchase a house, and then whosoever are the suppliers. These could be brokers, these could be real estate companies, agents, or these actually could be the real estate developers themselves. They will contact the buyer and say, we have a house matching your requirements, but the final choice will be with the buyer. So a lot of interesting business opportunities exist. Companies are coming up to create these kinds of auction-based models, so that depending on your requirement, you could either create a buy-side auction, sell-side auction, forward auction, reverse auction. And not only can you create this, but this can also be for specific industries. So as I said, somebody could create a business application only to tackle maybe the real estate type of auction. Somebody could do it maybe for other forms of industries, maybe for vehicles. So there are n number of business opportunities that can exist, and this creates opportunities for what we call as dynamic pricing. Again, I'll not explain this in detail, but I'll go through an interesting example which I'm sure all of us must have seen. And this incidentally will be the last slide that I'll use, looking at the time, and then I'll stop for any possible questions. So I'm sure whenever we go to say websites such as makemytrip.com, if we have tried it, it shows you that if you wish to book a particular flight on a particular day, these are the prices. But then it also says that there are maybe, it doesn't directly say, we know that there are a lot of other people who are currently looking at this. As a result, what will happen is that if, let's say, we don't book it right now, we don't get the lowest price. So if there are more buyers for this, then the price will obviously go up. But if there are lesser buyers, then the price will go down. Now you may be knowing that a few months ago, the Indian government, the Railways Ministry, actually announced that the same type of dynamic pricing will be applied to Indian Railways, which means that if there are unsold tickets, the prices of the tickets will keep dropping as the journey time approaches, and you will be able to get the ticket at a cheaper rate. But the opposite will also work, which is that if there is a high demand, then the prices of the tickets will rise. And this is something which was unheard of in India, so a lot of protests erupted. But again, please understand, this is a part and parcel of digital business, digital life, digital economy, and sooner or later, such changes are bound to come. And we better actually get adjusted, because there's no point complaining about this. Eventually, this is going to happen, even in India, just as it's happening in all other countries. So in the allotted time, I thought this is what I would cover. Obviously, there are so many other aspects also. As I'm going through the slides, you'll understand that we could have covered, but these were the ones which I thought were most relevant and most important for the audience which is present here. So I thank DY Patil Institution for giving me this opportunity. I thank all of you for a patient.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. We'll have some questions. I request participants to put your questions in the chat box, please.
तेरी कसम मत नहीं
Sir, can we know the challenges to be faced in e-commerce and practical application?
Actually, I have covered most of them. So whatever drawbacks that I mentioned in a particular slide, those could be considered as challenges. In addition, maybe in a country like India, the challenges are obviously, this is true mainly in the big cities where we have sophisticated technologies and connectivity available. But what about the rural areas and lack of education, people not being very internet savvy, a large part of the population being very poor. So all these are additional challenges. And business opportunities or applications, I think I've given plenty of.
So there is one question: what role of protocols in internet technology?
If I understand this question correctly, we are talking about communication protocols. So if let's say we are talking about things like TCP/IP and all the other related protocols, obviously the internet and mobile technology works on top of these protocols. So whenever let's say we say that we connect to a particular website, we use the HTTP protocol at the application layer, but then below we go to the transport layer and we have TCP, and we go to the network layer, we have IP. So without these protocols, nothing will work. What we are simply doing is to give an abstract view of these protocols so that a common user who is not at all aware of this and is not interested in this gets a very easy access and doesn't have to worry about the internet details.
So there is one more question: what is the difference between e-commerce and m-commerce?
Okay, so again, as I explained, e-commerce is the larger picture. M-commerce refers to the location-based and mobile-based additions. So all m-commerce obviously is e-commerce, but it's not true vice versa.
So one more question: will bandwidth and network issues and also HTTPS, will it help to alleviate the security issues?
Okay, obviously bandwidth will help resolve network issues, but the trouble is, as we have more and more bandwidth, we have more and more newer applications which keep coming up, which require more and more bandwidth. So it's a never ending kind of situation. So even when we have 4G, we have newer applications which demand even more bandwidth. So we are talking of 5G. So, that is a problem. And HTTPS, yes, to a large extent, it does solve the problem of communication between a client and a server by securing it. But what about the security once it's at the client or at the server? Then we are talking about cloud as an infrastructure where a lot of things are stored. So what if the cloud is not secure? What about the password related frauds and issues? What about the OTP related issues? So so many problems exist, and so many phishing attacks happen. The attackers keep on becoming smarter. So again, it's a huge canvas, although I agree that some aspects could be resolved using HTTP.
Next question is how to choose the best e-commerce software and what are the factors to be considered?
So it's again a very vast question. When we are talking about e-commerce software, again, we have to be clear about what we are talking about. So if let's say we are talking about using e-commerce software for a company which is going to provide certain services, then obviously it's a huge decision to be made. So a number of criteria have to be considered, a lot of evaluations have to be done, and then a final decision has to be made. But if you are talking about user related e-commerce software, simple choice such as, let's say, which web browser should we use, then obviously we have to look at the popularity, we have to look at the statistics, the reviews, and accordingly we have to take a decision.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I think there are no questions now. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
It was an excellent coverage to the topic e-commerce as well as the m-commerce and its application. It was really insightful and enlightening session for the day. Thank you so much, sir. We look forward to have more associations with you in future. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, ma'am, and I'll take your leave.
Okay, sir, thank you. Dear participants, thank you for the patience listening for today's sessions. We hope you have experienced the great learnings and addition of knowledge to the domain. On this note, we conclude today's session and look forward for tomorrow's session with more enthusiasm and learnings to your way. Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much. Thank you.